And what we said is we want to depressurize, de-escalate, and ultimately integrate the Middle East region. The Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
There's limited fighting already on the northern Israeli border, and I wonder, what is your message to Hezbollah and its backer, Iran?
Don't.
And what's the message to Iran?
Don't.
As President Biden said, just don't.
Exactly. One word. Pretty straightforward.
It was very important to send a very clear message to anyone who might seek to take advantage of the conflict in Gaza to threaten our personnel here or anywhere else in the region. Don't do it. I made very clear that the attacks, the threats coming from militia that are aligned with Iran are totally unacceptable, and we will take every necessary step to protect our people.
The White House blaming Iran-backed militants for a deadly drone attack early Sunday on a U.S. base in Jordan near the border with Syria.
We had a tough day last night in the Middle East. We lost 3 brave souls, and we shall respond.
Mr. President, message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
Sirens sounding across Israel early Sunday, hours after Iran's first ever direct attack on the country. Israel's military says hundreds of drones and missiles were launched toward Israeli territory on Saturday, forcing people into bomb shelters. Iran says this attack is in response to a suspected Israeli airstrike that killed a top Iranian general in Syria this month. The violence is putting the Middle East on high alert and renewing concerns the war in Gaza could expand into a larger regional conflict.
The Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades.
5 American citizens detained in Iran are one step closer to returning home. The Biden White House has agreed to swap prisoners, 5 Iranians for 5 Americans, and unfreeze $6 billion in Iranian money. Secretary of State Antony Blinken sealed the deal last week. But members of Congress were not notified until Monday, when Americans commemorated 22 years since the 9/11 terrorist attacks. According to the deal, Iran is only permitted to use the unfrozen funds to purchase food, medicine, or other humanitarian items.
Sure. Not ransom. These were Iranian funds that had been frozen in a South Korean account that they did not have access to. All we're simply doing is moving this money to Qatar, to Qatari National Bank, so that it can be accessible to them for, again, very discreet, targeted purposes.
John, you just said that Iran was not going to do this for nothing. But didn't they also get 5 Iranians?
They will get 5 Iranians as well. Yeah, Jackie.
Then why did we need to add $6 billion on top of that?
This is the deal that we were able to strike to secure the release of 5 Americans. It would be great, wonderful, if we could just pick up the phone and call the mullahs and say, hey, we want our Americans back, send them back on the next plane. But you and I both know that's not going to happen, particularly with Iran.
I know that you dispute that this is a ransom payment. Obviously, many critics of this agreement say that it is just that. So, in effect, they suggest it's $1 billion per American individual being released. So how is this not incentivizing bad actors and rogue regimes like Iran in the future to detain more Americans?
Bad actors like Iran and like Mr. Putin in Russia don't need any incentive to continue to look for ways to wrongfully detain Americans.
Pentagon official Ariane Tabatabai, I believe I'm saying her last name correctly, she was alleged to be involved in an Iranian government influence operation. There was some discussion about whether she should keep her security clearance. She did. But she's now the chief of staff for the office that's overseeing hostage negotiations. Is it appropriate for someone with these connections to the Iranian regime to be overseeing rescue operations for Americans that are being held by Iran-backed proxies?
I'd have to refer you to the Defense Department to speak to that, Jackie.
Assistant Secretary, I'm going to ask you some very straightforward questions. I would say it's in everybody's best interest to give us simple and straightforward answers. It's an opportunity to clear the air on some ongoing issues. There is currently an allegation that your Chief of Staff, who was also a former aide for Robert Malley, an Iran deal architect, who is currently has a revoked security clearance and is suspended for classified mishandling, allegedly, that she was a part of a group known as the Iran Expert Initiative, which reported to the Iranian Foreign Ministry and had the mission of influencing U.S. policymakers to agree with what the Iranian government wanted. That is an allegation. The Pentagon issued a defense saying that the doctor was thoroughly and properly vetted and that we are honored to have her serve. I like to believe that in issuing a defense that was thoughtful and thoroughly vetted as well, and I want you to give you the opportunity to substantiate that. So my questions are going to start with this. They will be very straightforward. Given that a defense was issued, I want to confirm what was reviewed to substantiate that defense. Did your Chief of Staff have any affiliation with a group known as the Iranian Expert Initiative, its other reported associates, or any groups reporting to the Iranian Foreign Ministry?
So, Congressman Mast, I think you'll appreciate this is an ongoing personnel matter. We received the letter from the House Armed Services Committee Chairman and Ranking Member, or excuse me, Subcommittee Chair of the Intelligence Special Operations Committee 2 days ago. So we're looking into that. I think the initial response you're referring to was issued by our public affairs folks. We are actively looking into whether all law and policy was properly followed in granting my Chief of Staff top secret, special compartmented information.
Let's pause on that.
Yes.
Was the security clearance a full scope polygraph background check, a single scope background check? Can you speak to that?
I can't at this point. I don't know that information, sir.
Can you speak to the SF-86 National Security Questionnaire? Straightforward questions. They're black and white. And so I would ask this. Can you say in Section 19, foreign contacts, was anybody listed within her contacts as a part of the Iranian Foreign Ministry?
So, Congressman, I think you'll understand that I am not involved in the vetting process for a security clearance. That is part of what we're looking into when I say ensuring it's consistent with law and policy. That would be a routine part of a background investigation from my experience.
Absolutely. Can you help me with timeline on something on this? Understanding the SF-86 National Security Questionnaire, the questions relating to foreign associates, work, foreign business dealings, they have a 7-year statute of limitations for the questions. Records show that she began working for Mr. Malley roughly in 2021, and the allegation is that this took place in roughly 2013, 2014. Can you substantiate that if this was not listed, it may be because of the lapse of time, the 7-year time window that would put it just outside of that?
Yeah, again, Congressman, I don't have that level of detail what went into her security clearance, but I think there are certainly pieces that have, as investigations are underway, as I understand it, they have discretion to look beyond that timeline as is required.
To the General Counsel, I would ask you the same questions.
We are more than happy to take back your questions, sir.
Can you substantiate, did the Chief of Staff have any affiliation with a group known as the Iranian Expert Initiative, its other reported associates, or any groups reporting to the Iranian Foreign Ministry?
I don't know that.
Okay. Can you substantiate whether that association, that alleged association, very alleged association, would have been outside of the time frame in which she had to report according to her national security questionnaire?
I do not know.
That's about as Washington, D.C. as it gets.